The pressure can feel really heavy right now. It's officially 2026. The new year is here. And as usual at this time of year, at the very beginning of the year, there is all of this energy around manifesting your best life, becoming your best self, finally getting it right this year. And look, if you're here with me, you're already trying. You're listening to podcasts, you're reading books, you might be doing your shadow work, you might be going to the gym and eating well, you're showing up for yourself, you're working on yourself. And right now, we have more access than ever before. Far more access than our parents and grandparents ever had. We have access to more teachers, more tools, more communities. Wellness is trendy. Everyone's optimizing, tracking, and posting about it on their social medias. We're already doing so much, and yet still there is this feeling like we're not doing enough, like we're still failing somehow, that we're starting from behind. And there is this perfection trap. Hi, my name is Jessa Frances. I'm a trauma-informed yoga teacher, a holistic shadow work coach, and an alcohol-free beverage consultant. And this is the Caim Circle podcast. For those of you that are new here, a Caim is an ancient Celtic concept, a protective circle, a sacred space where you can let down your guard and do the deep work. In my membership, I have broken it down to connection, awareness, integration, and manifestation. And today, I want to talk about something different than what you might expect from a New Year episode. I'm not going to give you a list of resolutions or a perfect plan or tell you how to finally get it right. I want to talk about embodiment and what it actually takes to step in to this new year, into 2026, as who you want and who you are becoming. Let's do this. So I started off 2025 in a lot of fear. I wanted this. I wanted to start a podcast. I wanted to work on my Substack. I wanted to write my books. I wanted to build my membership. I had all of these dreams and all of these aspirations, and I had been learning so much. I had hours and hours and hours of yoga teacher training. I had a master's degree in creative writing. I had already gone through so much in my life, through becoming a veteran in the United States Air Force, through a marriage and a divorce, raising 3 children. I had pushed through so many different things. I had read so many self-help books. I had listened to the podcast, taken the courses, and I had all of this knowledge that I knew that the only way that I was going to bring it forward into the world, the way that I deeply desired to do, was to finally embody it. And I woke up one morning with this light shining over my head almost. It felt like the word embodiment was blinking over the top of me in the dark like a neon sign. Embodiment. I knew that I couldn't just learn it all. I couldn't just read the books or listen to the podcasts, take the courses. I had to embody the practice. I had to get up, I had to get on my mat, I had to do the breath work, I had to do the nervous system regulation and the somatic movement. I had to follow through with the way I moved my body, with the way I ate. I had to continue the doing, the learning, the growing, and that was going to be what was going to create the woman that was capable of following through with all her dreams, of being a good podcast host, of being a good writer, a good guide, a good mentor, a good coach. All of the things that I was manifesting and dreaming of and creating for myself. I had this vision of myself walking in the grass barefoot and absorbing the energy around me while leading and holding a space for others to heal and grow and to move through all the things that I had moved through. And in order to do that, I had to walk my talk. I knew deep in my bones that if I wanted to find success in what I am building and who I'm becoming, I had to actually embody all the things that I was preaching. I couldn't just know it, I had to do it, right? And I couldn't just teach it, I couldn't just post about it. Not just talk about the shadow work and the nervous system regulation and the conscious living. I had to live it. And I had been, but I needed it to go to the next level, right? I needed to really follow through. And that has been the journey of 2025 for me. And what it brought forth was a true deep year of the wood snake. Some incredible shedding, some deep internal growth. I had to shed layers and layers of old beliefs and outmoded ways of thinking and feeling. I had to actually embody all of the things that I was talking about and learning. I had to embrace myself, all the different parts of myself, the messy parts, right? I had to embrace all of the different parts of the process of the becoming, the messy parts of the actual becoming, the hard parts of the becoming, the parts where I had to just accept that I did not have it all figured out. And that it was okay that I was going to be constantly learning and growing. Even as we shift forward into this new year, what in the Chinese zodiac is called the year of the fire horse, I'm still going to be figuring it out. I'm still going to be fighting my way forward, just hopefully at that bold, beautiful, faster pace where this last year was slow, nitty-gritty growth. You can know all the things. You can read all the books. You can listen to all the podcasts, have all the information. But if you're not embodying it, if you're not living in your body, in your choices, and how you move through your days, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you know if you don't understand it. And that's what I'm coming forward with. Not perfection, embodiment. So as we're heading into 2026, I want to invite you into something different. Not another year of trying to be perfect. Not another year of beating yourself up when you don't get it right, when you fail. But a year of embodiment. Of actually living what you know to be true for yourself. Of closing the gap between who you say you want to be and how you're actually showing up. And here's the thing, it's not about discipline and force and white knuckling your way through. I want to share with you today, I want to share what it really is. Because what it is being able to find joy in the discipline. It is about being able to find a way forward that is flexible, adaptable, and actually honors your nervous system while you navigate inevitable pain and stress and hard shit that life throws at you. And it's about having core pillars and a foundation that keeps you steady while still being able to move and flow and adjust. It's about reframing your failures as lessons, pain as power, and being able to keep going when things get hard. Not from a place of I have to, but from a place of I love myself and I'm going to keep showing up because I love myself. That is embodiment. And that is the energy that we want to build and move forward with. So I was taking my Substacks and turning them into podcasts. And I was going back to the very first podcast, and I found this podcast that I wrote about a book club that I was doing. And I had done a reflection over a book that I read, I guess about 2 years ago now, called it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's by Florence Scovel Shinn, and this book was written in 1925. So 100 years ago. And I'll have to be honest, when I very first picked up this book, I had heard a lot of good things about it in terms of being able to manifest. It was this book about manifestation, and it was something I was deeply, deeply trying to do, right? But when I very first picked this book up, I almost immediately wanted to put it down. Because at that time, I was really, really triggered by anything that referenced, or at least heavily referenced, the Bible and had a lot of Christian language. And this book was full of Bible references. And this, this revulsion to religion came up. And I had to recognize for myself that, oh my gosh, okay, there's a trigger here. Because I had been really thinking of the Bible as evil. I looked at it and I wanted to wash my hands. And I was actively fighting at this time, or had been over the last couple years, had been fighting for a shift in perspective and for me to finally see my triggers as a way to grow. And so when I saw this and I felt that resistance, I stopped and I made a choice. I had to choose love over fear. I had to choose curiosity over that resistance. And so I decided to shift my perspective, to see those references to the Bible not as something threatening to me, but as Florence using the tools of her time to express something universal. And that choice, that's where everything begins. Choosing love over fear. That's the first lesson. It's the foundation of everything. Because every single day you're making this choice, sometimes 100 times a day. Fear says, I'm not doing enough. I'm failing. I should be better. I'm behind. I have to force this. I have to control this. I have to be perfect. Right? And love is saying, I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm becoming. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I can be gentle with myself. I can adapt. And I can trust the process. So Florence says that most people consider life as a battle, but that it's not a battle, it's a game. A game. Not something you have to fight your way through, but something you get to play with flow and with a way that might actually work. And it has rules. And so this was very intriguing to me, right? And that allowed me to lean into that curiosity. And so I read more, and I found that a lot, like I said, this was a universal teaching, and a lot of what she was saying resonated deeply with what I was learning in yoga and what I had already learned in all of the psychology classes. And she's saying that one of the rules to playing the game of life is that you need to align your three minds. And Florence calls them the departments of the mind, right? That we have three departments of the mind: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. So the conscious mind as the ego, the subconscious mind as the internal programming, and the superconscious mind as your intuition, as your ability to connect with your truth, your divine design, your dharma, right? And so often in the spiritual community, we demonize the ego, we demonize the conscious mind. But this part of the mind is absolutely imperative and necessary. It just needs to be aligned with the other minds, right? So your conscious mind is the part of your mind that's making plans and decisions, right? And then your subconscious mind is where all of that programming lives, the patterns, the wounding, the conditioning. And that superconscious mind, that's the seat of the witness, or what I would have been told and taught is the seat of the witness, that omnipresent part of myself, the watcher of it all, where I can connect deeply to my intuition and see from a different perspective. And most of us, we're at war with ourselves because these three minds are not talking to each other. They are not aligned. And so we have our conscious ego mind going, go to the gym, right? And we have our subconscious mind that is scared and exhausted. And we have our superconscious mind knowing that we need the movement and we need the connection to our body, but we also need rest, and we need ease, and we need love and compassion, right? And we force ourselves to go to the gym, and it makes us feel terrible, and we spiral into shame. And what happens is war, and that battle comes up, and that's not alignment. So the work, the real work, is getting to know ourselves so fully that we can align these three minds. And you do that through shadow work, right? Looking at the subconscious mind and understanding what's happening on that subconscious level, and then resetting our nervous systems and using nervous system practices and somatic release and gently, gradually working with the subconscious mind so that it can connect and align to that conscious mind. And we do that through getting curious about yourself instead of judging yourself. And as you do that, it will just naturally, or at least it has for me, it has naturally allowed me to be with my my superconscious mind, my intuition, my seat of the witness, right? Because when I'm doing the nervous system reset, when I'm working on grounding myself in nature and calming and connecting with myself, that's access to the seat of the witness. That's access to that omnipresent part of who I am. And when I'm able to do that, I'm able to see it all very clearly and connect the dots. And I do all of this from that foundational choice of choosing love over fear. Not just once, but again and again and again and again. So Florence also talked about dharma. And dharma is aligning with the truth of who you are. A lot of people know karma, what goes around comes around, right? And that's a beautiful thing and something to definitely look into. But if you are really trying to fight for your dreams and to move forward and manifest all of these wonderful things into your life, you have to have a connection to your dharma, because it needs to be connected to the truth of yourself. And we find that in that superconscious mind, right? And the way that we do that is to find all of the things that actually light us up. To pay attention to what brings us joy, what sets our heart on fire, what makes us lose track of time. They talk about this a lot, right? Find what brings you joy. There's a reason you like what you like. There's a reason that certain things excite you and certain things don't. It's your dharma calling. But here's where it gets tricky. You can't just follow joy blindly, right? You need a foundation. You need to know your why. So that is where, finding out what my core values were and what my morals were and what the pillars that hold me steady when everything else is shaking were. I needed to know those things. My core values, my morals, my pillars, my why. Because if I had that stable security and grounded landing pad to be on, that earth beneath my feet, then it was easy to look up and find the things that I'm joyful about, right? Because I'm in a place of rest and digest, because I have that stability and strength and that home within myself. So I can breathe easy and find the joy, right? And that's, once again, it all comes back to your nervous system. And so for me, I found that my pillars are truth, love, growth, and service. Truth. I will not lie to myself or others, even when it's uncomfortable. And this is very hard. Because more than likely there's at least one big liar in your family tree. There is this pattern of white lies. There's patterns of not telling the truth. So coming back to that was something that I had to learn and grow through and come back to over and over again, just like choosing of the love. And that's what brought me to the love, right? I choose love over fear every single time. And then the growth. And the growth came from, the truth came from the love, the growth came from the love, right? Growth, that I am willing to face pain because I know it's going to make me stronger. I'm willing to reset and go towards the optimism in order to keep the momentum moving forward. And all of this is based in service, which is, once again, it's love. What I'm building is not just for me. What I'm building is deeply connected to service. Who I can support, who out there needs me. Not just my family, my friends, my children. It's for the collective, right? These are my pillars. And when I'm aligned with these, everything flows. When I'm not aligned with these, everything feels hard and forced and wrong. So what are yours? What are the core pillars that, when you're living them, make you feel most like you? What are the practices that keep you regulated and self-aware? What do you know works for you, right? What are the things that, no matter what is happening around you, you can come back to these things, to these practices, and you can feel steady? Because here's the thing about 2026, things are gonna get hard. Things are going to challenge you. You're going to face pain and stress and moments where you want to give up. And if you don't have your foundation, if you don't know your pillars, your why, your core values, you'll crumble. You'll give up. But if you know who you are, if you've done the work to align your three minds, if you're following what actually lights you up instead of what you think you should do, you'll be able to bend without breaking. You'll be able to reframe and keep going. And that is dharma. That is alignment. Now, let me be really clear about something. Self-care matters. What you eat matters, how you move matters, how you rest matters. And this is not about looking good. This isn't even about just feeling good. What you put in your body directly affects your brain. Your gut microbiome is connected to your mental health, your mood, your ability to regulate your emotions. If you're eating inflammatory processed food, drinking alcohol, not sleeping, not moving, you are disrupting the system that allows you to function as who you want to be. You cannot do shadow work if your nervous system is constantly dysregulated. You cannot show up as your best self if your body and your mind is exhausted and overwhelmed. So yes, you need to take care of yourself. You need to eat clean, move your body, get good sleep. But here is the shift that I want you to make. You need to do it not from I have to or I should, but from I love myself and this feels so good and I love taking care of myself. And how do you get to that? By choosing love over fear, right? Instead of, I need to do this, I love to do this. You can feel the difference. Same action, completely different energy. It's the energy. So going to the gym because I'm lazy and I need to push myself, that's not self-care, that's self-abandonment. But going to the gym because I love feeling strong. I love what my body can do. I'm honoring my vessel. That's self-care. When we eat clean, it's not about I'm bad if I don't. That's shame. But eating clean because I love the clarity and the energy that this gives me, this nourishment. That's love. And we have to find enjoyment in the habits that we want to embody, right? So that's self-care. That's another huge part of this. Not forcing, not pushing, but genuinely finding joy in taking care of yourself. And here's the other piece that most people don't want to hear. Pain is necessary. Discomfort is necessary. When you're facing something hard, Phil Stutz, a psychiatrist who works with incredibly successful people, and you may have heard of him already, but he says you need to say, I love pain. Not because you're a masochist, but because pain is inevitable, and pain is the catalyst for growth. So if you resist it, if you run from it, you're going to stay stuck. But if you embrace it, if you lean into it, if you get excited about what it's teaching you, that is when transformation happens. The burn in your muscles at the gym, that's getting you stronger. The discomfort of eating clean when you're craving junk, that's your body rewiring itself. The pain of shadow work is healing. The challenge is the point. And when you reframe, when you choose love over fear, when you shift from this is hard and I hate it to this is hard and I'm excited about what it's making me capable of, everything changes. Failure becomes the lesson, pain becomes the power, and you keep going. And not from force, but from love. So what does this actually look like as you step into 2026? Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying make rigid resolutions. I'm not saying force yourself into some perfect routine. And I'm not saying ignore your body's signals. What I am saying is have a foundation. Know your why, know your pillars, and know what lights you up. And then be flexible enough to navigate the cyclical nature of life. Life moves in cycles, seasons, rhythms. There are times for pushing and times for resting, times for expansion and times for integration, time for discipline, time for softening, and we need all of it. You can't grow without challenge, but you also can't sustain growth without rest. So the plan has to be adaptable. Your nervous system has to be able to regulate along the way. When things get hard, and they will, you need to be able to pause, breathe, reframe, and keep going. And not from willpower, but from knowing why you're doing this in the first place. Whether it's a New Year resolution or intention, an intention that you set on your yoga mat, or just an intention for your new day. You set it with love. You hold it with your core values, and you stay flexible about how you get there. Maybe you said you'd go to the gym 5 days a week, but this week your body needs the rest. That's not failure. That's listening. You can find a different way to move your body than going to the gym. You can do Qigong or a gentle yoga practice. You can take a walk, right? You're not giving up. You're just finding something else to help you restore and find balance. So maybe you said you'd eat clean all month, but you had this celebration and you mindfully chose to eat the pizza or the cake. That's not weakness. Choose it with consciousness. Choose it with love. When you eat it, savor it, enjoy it. Say, I'm treating myself. I'm going to enjoy this sugar rush. And then know that you're going to shift back, right? And maybe you're facing pain right now and everything in you wants to quit. But you remember, this pain is growth. It's making me stronger. And you keep going. It's embodiment. That's the growth mindset. Not perfection, but awareness, flexibility, and love. So here's what I'm inviting you into for 2026. Embodiment of the growth mindset. Embodiment of shame slaying. Embodiment of your commitment to your vessel, your soul's greatest expression. Awareness of the shadow and the light, and awareness of the cyclical nature of life. This means when you say you value health, you actually eat in a way that supports your brain and your body, not from shame, from love. And when you say you want to grow, you actually face the pain, the hard thing. You actually do the shadow work, and you don't run when it gets uncomfortable. When you say you want to live aligned, you actually follow what lights you up. You build your life around core values, not what you think you should do or everyone else says you should do. When you say you want to show up as your best self, you give yourself grace. When you're in the rest phase of the cycle, you take care and nourish your nervous system, right? You honor your nervous system, and then you adapt and you overcome. That's embodiment. And you do it with love within yourself, for yourself, and therefore for the collective, for everyone around you. Because when you are lit up from within, when you're doing this because you love it, not because you should, that energy is different and it radiates. You become an example and you become proof that it's possible. You become that shining light, that beacon of hope. You become the shift you want to see. So make 2026 the year that you close the gap between who you say you want to be and how you actually show up. Not through force, through embodiment, not through perfection, through consciousness and joy and discipline, all working together with a foundation of why and values and pillars that hold you steady, flexible enough to navigate the cycles, strong enough to turn pain into power, loving enough to keep going even when it's hard, even when it's not perfect. This isn't perfect. I don't have the music in the background. There's someone hammering out the window when a train is going by, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still figuring out this life. That's the adventure of me becoming me, of me pushing through the hard parts. I'm doing it with you. This life is your adventure. You are your own greatest adventure. And I would love if it calls to you, if this resonates deeply and you want to come into community, because trust me, you can't. I tried to do it alone, and nobody wants to do it alone, and you shouldn't do it alone. We are meant to be in community, and that is why I built the Caim Circle membership. It is a family where you can do the connection, the awareness, the integration, and build the momentum. CAIM. And I would love to have you as part of our membership, as part of our community. And if you're looking for one-on-one support, if you're looking for a mentor, for a coach, please reach out. I would love to work with you through your shadow work. I would love to support you as you move through all of these things. I had a mentor. I have a guide. I have my support system. Everyone needs it. So before we go, I'd like to offer everyone a few deep breaths. If you're not driving and you have the ability, place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and take a breath with me. Go ahead and inhale. Exhale and soften your shoulders, soften your jaw. Again, inhale. Exhale. One more breath and say this with me in your mind. I am embodying my growth. I am embodying my truth. I choose love over fear. And I am excited about who I am becoming. This is the Caim Circle. Everything you need is at thecaimcircle.com. That's TheCaimCircle.com. Shadow work, nervous system practices, community, support. 2026 is the year of embodiment, not perfection, embodiment. Walk your talk, live your truth, follow what lights you up. And until next time, have a wonderful and happy day.